Daisy R. Batish, who is professor at Botany Department, Punjab University, and our principal madam, Dr. Sangam Kapoor Datta.
माइक ऑन है, माइक ऑफ करवाओ पहले सबके, आवाज आ रही है।
माइक ऑफ कर दो शाखा। So I welcome you all on the occasion of Akshay Urja Divas. As we all know that Akshay Urja Divas is celebrated to make the people aware of the efficient use of energy. And it also marks the birth anniversary of our former Prime Minister, Shri Rajiv Gandhi. Now I request our principal ma'am to welcome our keynote speaker.
Okay, good morning everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So good morning once again, and I extend a warm welcome to everyone. It's a special day as every year the world celebrates Indian Akshay Urja Divas on 21st of August. The day which also marks the birth anniversary of our former Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. And this is celebrated to make people aware of the use of non-conventional and renewable energy like biogas, solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, tidal energy, and hydroelectrical power. Indian Akshay Urja Divas is an awareness campaign aimed at enlightening the masses about the benefits of renewable energy resources in their lives as well as that of Blue Planet. So I welcome Dr. Daisy R. Batish, Professor and Chairperson, Department of Botany, Punjab University, Chandigarh, the renowned ecologist, and has many recognitions to her credit at international and national platform. So I welcome you, Madam Daisy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So I welcome Dr. Daisy R. Batish, who is currently working as a professor in the Department of Botany, Punjab University, Chandigarh. She has more than 26 years of teaching and research experiences. Her research expertise are eco-physiological aspects of plant-plant interactions, weed ecology, sustainable weed management, ecology of underutilized plants, essential oil-bearing plants, traditional and underutilized plants, and knowledge of high altitude species like allelopathy. She also holds very important positions and lifetime memberships in many academic bodies and organizations. She also has supervised more than 25 PhD students and completed 7 major projects. So, Madam Daisy has got her 117 research papers in the referred journals, around 7 edited books, and around 35 chapters and paper proceedings and books. So she has also been awarded postdoctoral research fellowship by the Council of CSIR and also the postdoctoral research scientistship of the CSIR. She has also been awarded with awards like Rajiv Goyal Scientist Award in Environmental Sciences, and she has also been awarded as a very great research award. She is also the member of many science societies. She has been delivering lectures in around 105 orientation courses and refresher courses. And she has also attended many conferences in around 10 countries. So now, I am very much thankful to Professor Daisy Batish for accepting our invitation as a speaker to deliver a lecture on the Akshay Urja Divas, that is August 21, 2021. The vast knowledge of our speaker will surely enlighten our students about the significance of the non conventional and renewable energy to protect our planet. So now I will request Daisy ma'am to enlighten us with her lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Gitanjali, and
Thank you, ma'am.
it has always been my pleasure to connect with you all because all of you are, may it be environment department or botany department, you all are from the same building. So it's
Yes, ma'am.
really nice to connect with you all. So
Yes, ma'am.
today's special day.
ललिता मैडम का म्यूट हो गया डेजी मैम का हाय थैंक यू मैम There is as soon as I started, there was no electricity. So, I connected it with my phone. So I hope that you'll be able to hear me. Can you see the PPT? Can you see? No, first of all, I express my thanks to Gitanjali and other. I can see Shakha Madam. I can see Rajkumar. Hirojit, I can see Lalita.
Yes, ma'am. Good
So
morning.
very, and I'm also thankful to, prior to that, thankful to Principal Madam. I can see her for inviting me for this important lecture. So really thankful to you all for inviting me and saying nice words.
Thank you, ma'am.
So without delay, now I start my lecture. I think
Yes, ma'am.
my PPT is visible, or should I connect it again? I think, yeah, I have to share it again. Now, is it visible? If I keep it on
Yes,
slide,
ma'am. We are visible. We can see the slide, ma'am.
you can see the slide. Now, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today's lecture, as you rightly said, that yesterday it was Akshay Urja Day. It is celebrated every year in the memory of a late former Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, who was very dynamic. And this day is celebrated to especially to kind of create an awareness about the renewable sources of energy, and also to strengthen the and explore the new ways of renewable resources of energy. So it's a very important, as we all know, energy is very important for us, and it's very difficult to sustain without energy. So that is the importance of the day, and I now have specially prepared this lecture, Energy and Sustainable Urban Development, because we all are living in a city. So both urban areas and energy, they are somehow connected. And then sustainability is our foremost objective. May it with the use of energy, may it with the city life, sustainability becomes a very important factor. So I'd like to, talk something about energy and then about the sustainable life in urban areas, especially in our city, Chandigarh. So that is just Indian Akshay Urja Day. Now, as we all know that energy is, possibility of creating movement. It exists as potential and kinetic forms, and conversion of potential to kinetic energy helps us in doing our day-to-day life work. Then human activities are dependent on the usage of several forms of sources of energy, and traditionally most of the work was performed by people. Now energy demands have increased with economic development. The world of power consumption as is about 12 trillion watt a year, with 85% of it coming from fossil fuels. Now, as we all know that our over dependence on the fossil fuels has fossil fuels, as we know, they are non-renewable resource of energy, and our over dependence on fossil fuels have made them, very depleted resource, as well as lots of problem have also erupted because of the excessive use of the fossil fuels. That is most important problem is pollution that we see in the air. Now, technology enables to use energy more efficiently. So why not go for it? So because earlier when we were over depending on the fossil fuels, few years back, so we realized many problems with the fossil fuels. Then it was also realized that why not to make use of technology so that we can use energy efficiently and purposely with some good purpose. Sources of energy, as I have already discussed with you, but this is especially for the students, but students I think might be knowing. So we have non-renewable resources. If we classify them, they are chemical and nuclear. So nuclear energy comes both under renewable resource as well as non-renewable resource. So if it is fission based, then it is a non-renewable resource. And chemical energy, we know that fossil fuels, which have been, and still are being used for, our day-to-day life. Then we have various renewable resources of energy, which can be muscular and which can be nuclear, which includes geothermal and fusion-based energy, for example, fusion of hydrogen. Then we have gravity-based energy sources, tidal energy, hydraulic energy. Indirect solar energies are like biomass, where we make use of photosynthesis indirectly. Then we have wind-based energy, which is which we all know in areas which we are prone to winds. and they can produce energy, which is again a renewable resource of energy. And directly also we can use solar energy in the form of photovoltaic cells. So these are various renewable resources of energy, and if we see the patterns of global energy consumption, I think you all will appreciate that. Look at this oil, how the use of oil ever since the beginning of the 20th century, it is increasing. It has increased over the years. Then see coal has increased over the years, though there was some little, less use of coal between 1990 to 2000, but still it has increased. And then natural gas increasing, showing an increasing trend. On the other hand, look at these, renewable resources of energy. Look at this red-colored nuclear energy and hydrogen-based energy. They are although increasing nowadays, their use is increasing, but they are much less in use compared to the oil, coal, natural gas. So oil, coal, natural gas, they are still being used to maximum extent in the world. Then look at the total energy consumption as by source. We see that fossil fuels, they are 78.4% in use. Compared to that, renewable resources are just 19%. So look at the way world trend has gone from 78.4% on fossil fuels, just 19% on renewable resources, and 2.6% nuclear resources. So that is the total world energy consumption by source. Although the data is slightly old, but the trend is same as I have seen, because I did not find the data in a very meticulously shown in the form of a graph, but more or less trend is going on to be same. Likewise, if we see the difference between developed and developing nations, now as rightly said that most of the energy is being consumed by the developed nations. Developing nations are just nothing in front of them, and that's why we call them as most polluting countries, because they are making maximum use of the energy, and pollution is also coming from them. And when it comes to the owning of the pollution, then the whole world is held responsible for it. Of course, the world trends are also now changing, but just see the trend in Canada, United States. The use of energy is maximum compared to Mexico, Egypt, and India. And although we are progressing countries, but the kind of energy that we are using in front of the developed nation is much lesser. However, ever since 1970 till 2025, these are projections, computer-based projections. We see that although the energy, fossil fuel energy is increasing, but the renewable energies, they are also finding now good number of, they are also finding a good place. They are being explored by the people. If you see, after 2002, just see how the use of renewable energy sources has increased, and that is a good thing, because world is now becoming aware of the fact that the fossil fuel based energy, we are depleting very fast, and it is once used is not going to come back very soon into the system. It takes millions of years for them to come back again into the system. So we have realized that there is no point depleting them further. And then we have also realized the kind of pollution that we are facing because of the because of the consumption of fossil fuel. So in order to make our living, planet pollution free, our living planet worth living, we have to make use of the renewable resources. And fortunately, the urban areas, the cities, they are exploring means of renewable resources so that the life in the cities, especially because रूरल एरियाज में इतना ज्यादा यूज नहीं है, सिटीज में ही है सबसे ज्यादा fossil fuel use. So we the people living in cities, they have realized that we have to be we have to have a sustainable pace of life, and that's why renewable resources they are being explored nowadays to a greater extent. Now, this shows when we want to use different sources of energy, what is their energy content. So just see that we are using natural gas, we are using coal, we are using this crude oil. Their energy source is much lesser compared to hydrogen. So कहाँ पे है ये hydrogen? So in the future, our most of the our hopes are lying on using hydrogen as source of energy, as other sources, especially these fossil fuels, they are declining at a very faster rate. Unfortunately, use of hydrogen has been very expensive. So there are certain problems on the use of hydrogen, and the most problematic thing is its cost. So it's very costly, and that's why it's not finding much use. Otherwise, it is a very high source of energy. So maybe in the coming time, some technology develops, the costs are cut down. Maybe the hydrogen energy becomes more in use. But so far, hydrogen sources are being used only in hybrid form, not exclusively, because it's very expensive. Right. So can we move on to the, but then how the energy sources have evolved. And this is very interesting slide. See, in the 15th century, most of the energy was animal based. This, and then biomass based. Then mid 19th century,
डेजी मैम,
हाँ जी,
ये
हेलो,
आपकी स्लाइड नहीं चेंज हो रही.
अच्छा
हमें एक ही स्लाइड नजर आ रही है.
कौन सी?
हाँ जी,
अब हुई?
ललिता हुई? नहीं मैम, अभी भी नहीं हो रही.
अच्छा, एक मिनट.
हाँ जी, अब हो गई. अब हो गई.
अब हो रही वो?
यस मैम, हो गई. हो
तो
गई है.
आपने ये कोई भी नहीं देखी ये वाली?
नहीं, पिछली नहीं कोई दिखी.
ओह माय गॉड, फिर आप मुझे पहले मैं तो अकेली बोलती रह गई. अच्छा ठहरो, एक मिनट में दोबारा से एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगी. स्लाइड शो पे जाते हैं. आप दिख रही है?
Yes, ma'am. The present slide we are able to see.
And this is visible to you? Energy?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yes ma'am. Yes.
These are sources of energy visible to you?
Yes ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So here I showed you various non-in. एक आवाज इको कर रही है, आप किसी का स्पीकर बंद कर दीजिए. Now it is okay. Now can you see this slide? Non-renewable and renewable.
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am.
एक
Yes,
जगह
ma'am.
अपना ऑन कर लो. Only one person. So in this slide I showed you various non-renewable and renewable sources of energy. I think that is clear to you. And here, can you see this slide? Only one person, please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
आप अपना audio हाँ जी on कर लो. Only one person. Now this is energy consumption, patterns of energy consumption world over, and this is showing how oil, coal, natural gas, they are being used for the maximum extent compared to the nuclear energy and other renewable resources of energy shown by green and the blue line. So see that although their use is increasing, but they are much lesser in amount, in value, compared to the fossil fuel sources. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the total energy consumption by source, as I told you. The petroleum, coal, natural gas. You can see 78.4% are still in use. Compared to that, nuclear and renewable resources of energy, they are much lesser in proportion compared to the fossil fuels. So this data, as I told you earlier also, this this is of old data, but still the trend remains the same. Then I also told you, can you see this slide? Can you see this slide? Hirojit?
Yes,
So in this slide, I showed you the patterns. Developed nations, Canada and United States, and other nations, Mexico, Egypt, India, which are less developed countries. Look at the proportion of energy being used by the developing nations in comparison to the developed nations. So they are using a major chunk of energy compared to the developing nations, and that is why the most of the pollution is also coming from these countries. And then, but pollution is a global phenomena. Everybody has to face that. But because of the overconsumption by the developed nations, most of the energy pollution is coming from these nations. Is that clear now? Shift in the type of energy being used from 1970 to 2025. These are the projections. Is that clear? Can you see this slide? Hello? Hello, Hirojit? So I'm calling you only. Hello? Hello, Rajma? Hanji?
Ma'am, we can see the slide total world energy consumption by source. This
This
is
one?
visible on your screen.
This one?
Total world energy consumption by source in 2013.
Okay. मैं वो फिर हटा देती हूँ स्लाइड शो हटा देती हूँ
Yes, ma'am.
अब दिख रहा है आपको नेक्स्ट
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now it's okay?
Yes. It's okay, ma'am.
It's okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
All right. So here in this slide, I have shown although the fossil fuels are still finding maximum use world over, but ever since after 2002, the use of renewable resources is increasing. And the reason for this, I have told you that people living in cities, they are fed up of pollution. They are fed up of high costs of fossil pollution. They are also fed up of listening that the fossil fuels are declining because lots of awareness has been created in this regard. So people want to live in a sustainable environment, and that's why major cities in the world. I'll discuss with you which cities. So some of the cities they have adopted very innovative ways of life, and they want that their city should be sustainable. And that's why the use of renewable resources has increased ever since 2002. And now we see more shift in their use. And this happens especially in the cities. Is that clear? So now I come to the next slide. Can you see this slide? Energy content of some fuels?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here I just discussed with you that maximum energy is found in the hydrogen sources. look at the fossil fuels in comparison to hydrogen energy. So hydrogen is very potent source of energy. The only problem with this is that its use is very expensive, and that's why hydrogen sources are being used nowadays, but only in hybrid form, not exclusively, because its rate, its costs are very, very high. It's very expensive source of energy. So that's why it is not much in use. But we can pinpoint our hopes on hydrogen sources in future. As you know, most of the fossil fuels, they are declining in amount, and many of the renewable resources, they may not be exclusively useful for us. So hydrogen can really provide us the kind of energy that we can depend upon. Is that right? And then evolution of energy sources, which I told you, it's very interesting to see how energy sources have evolved over the years. Can you see this slide? I think you can.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just see, in the 15th century, animal-based energy and biomass-based energy were prevalent. Now, as we entered into the 19th century, additional source of energy came, and that was coal-based. Coal energy that came into existence. Then, early 20th century, in this, the use of animal-based energy, use of biomass-based energy declined, and there was rapid increase in coal energy in addition to the oil. Oil also started increasing. And then in the late 20th century, the animal-based energy, the biomass-based energy almost, became very, very less in use. But the use of coal, the use of oil, the use of natural gas was much, much greater than these conventional sources of energy. And in addition, nuclear energy was also in use. Now, mid 21st century, these are also projections for future, and this includes little use of animal, little use of biomass. Biomass has increased. See, यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक अब awareness हो रही है, तो biomass-based energy has increased, but look at the coal-based energy has declined. The oil-based energy has also declined. Natural gas काफी यूज में है, but comparatively lesser. And then nuclear-based energy is increasing, and we have hydrogen-based energy that has come into existence. So hydrogen, therefore, it can be a hope for future if all other sources of energy dwindle. But as I discussed with you, that this is very costly. So so far we are using hydrogen in hybrid form. That is in mixture with other sources of energy, not exclusively. So that is how the energy sources have evolved. Now, global energy system transition. So this is the transition. I've shown you this slide, but here the transition becomes very, very clear. Now look at the solids, wood, coal. They were very prevalent during the older times, but during the 20th century and now in the 21st century, their use has declined to a greater extent. Look at the gaseous-based energy. Earlier it was natural gas, now it is hydrogen. So it is showing a rapid increase. Look at the liquid-based energy, which includes major the oil. Now, oil was earlier it was less, and then in the 20th century there was increase in the use of oil. It becomes maximum near about in the late 20th century, and then in the 21st century, after attaining a maxima, its use is declining. Right? So liquid, solids, gases. So gas-based energy is now finding much in use compared to the other sources of energy. Now, what are the challenges in energy use? First challenge is supply of energy. From where should we get the energy? So providing supply to sustain growth and requirement of the ever-increasing population is really a challenge. Modern society depends on stable and continuous flow of energy. So therefore, in the coming years also, society would need on the energy itself, and therefore finding energy as a continuous supply is really a challenge. Okay, now I think you can see this slide now.
Yes, ma'am. Clearly.
Okay. Okay. So energy demand is increasing, population is increasing, urbanization is increasing, but sources of energy are dwindling. So we have to manage the energy efficiently. We have to generate more devices of energy. We have to manage our transportation, industrial, and appliances in such a way that we use energy in a sustainable manner. Then, major issue of energy use is another challenge or issue is environment. So, since pollution also increased with a greater increase in energy, we have to reduce the pollution also, and therefore we have to minimize energy wastage, and we have to live in such a manner that there is minimum pollution and also more efficient use of energy. So we have to provide environmentally safe sources of energy, and we have to really go through an energy transition. So these are the challenges, and look at this is very interesting slide. I think you all can. I hope you can see. Look how population of the world is increasing, and how energy and electricity demand is also increasing at the same time. Can you see this slide, Irujit?
Clearly, ma'am. We are seeing, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll not ask now. So wherever there is a problem, please let me know. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is world population with blue color, and look at the trends of energy. Energy concomitant with the increase in world population. So as is world population increasing, demand for energy and electricity is also increasing. So we have to therefore find out the new and innovative ways of energy, and we have to use energy efficiently. Now, if we see the trends of human population, now since we are talking about energy, so human population is therefore also is an important topic, because to sustain, to provide energy sources to the population, we must know what are the trends of human population. Now, global human population is nearly 83 million, increasing by the rate of 83 million annually, or 1.1% per year. It has increased from 1 billion in 1800 to 7.6 billion in 2018. Now, population density is 56 per square kilometer. This includes land except Antarctica. Now, expected to keep on increasing, there is about 9.8 billion population is expected by 2050, and 11.2 billion by 2100. Now, so far, population has shown an exponential increase in growth, but it is expected to achieve equilibrium by the end of the 21st century. That is when it will show zero population growth. Now, if you see this graph, just see how population over the years has increased, and you see that in the 20th century onwards, there has been a very rapid increase in population. Now, a slight decline in the population could be seen due to bubonic plague that decimated Europe and Asia in 14th century. But after that, there has been a rapid increase in population, and it is showing exponential growth. and expected to become logistic by the end of 21st century, showing zero growth. It is expected, but it has to show sigmoid growth because our Earth's planet has limited boundaries, and therefore it has a carrying capacity. Now, expected carrying capacity of Earth is between 4 to 16 billion, although this data is just on the based not on the facts, but on the various calculations. Now, as I told you that in 1800 we were just 1 billion. In 1930 we were 2 billion, and that is after 130 years 1 billion was added. But in 1960 we were 3 billion. Just in 30 years 1 more billion was added. Then after 50 years only 1 more billion was added. And then after 12 years 1 more billion was added. And likewise now 6 billion in 1999, 2011 we were 7 billion. Now world population since 1980s is showing a J-shaped curve. So on one hand, population is increasing. On other hand, population energy demand के साथ concomitant है. Then urbanization. Urbanization is also increasing world over. So world urban population was 3.17 billion in 2005, and nearly 60% of the people now live in cities, and it is projected that by 2030, nowadays it is 50%, but by 2030 it will become 60% people living in the cities. So urbanization has been so rapid in the past, and it is more so in the developing countries. Now, to support urban growth, highways, transport systems, they have been built up. Slum areas, which are synonymous with the cities, and Asia is already a home for more than half of the world population. Now, increasing pollution levels and environmental degradation are some of the causes of concern, especially in the urban areas. So when there is more urbanization, the pollution levels and environmental degradation also becomes very common with the urbanization. Now look at this slide. I hope you can see. This slide is very interesting. Look at in less developed countries, urbanization is increasing. Urbanization is also increasing in the more developed nations. And the black line shows a trend, which is a generalized trend in the world, including developed nations as well as less developed nations. So what I want to say is that whether it is developed nations, whether it is less developed nations, urbanization is increasing. So we are nearly 50 to 55% nowadays, and we are expected to become 60% of the people are expected to live in cities up to 2030. These are the projections. Look at how the projections are showing that urbanization is going to increase in the coming time. And look at the rural population, which was earlier increasing, and now it has become stable and is rather declining. So this is how the world trend is going on. And this is concomitant with energy use, because in the urban areas, there is excessively high energy which is used compared to the rural areas. Now, what is sustainable urban development? Now, as Brundtland Report 1987, Our Common Future, sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present populations without compromising the future generations to meet their own needs. And I think we have this document, Our Common Future, which was made during the Brundtland Commission 1987. Now, sustainable development is a dynamic process which connects local and global concerns and also link local, social, economic, and ecological issues so as to meet the needs of present and future generations. Mechanism to achieve sustainability in urban areas is sustainable urban development. So most of the cities are now focusing on sustainable urban development. Now, issues relevant to sustainable urban development, they must fulfill social, economic, and environmental needs. They offer investors the sense of security and provide infrastructure and efficiency. They recognize natural assets and environment. And modern cities rely greatly on fossil fuel technology and require uninterrupted energy supplies. This is very important. जितनी भी cities हैं, they are managed by men, and when they are managed by men, so they require fossil fuel technology. So sustainable use of energy sources is therefore very, very important for cities. And another important thing in sustainable urban development is mitigation of pollution. Now, sustainable city development can be achieved through clear, cohesive urban growth policy, efficient use of energy and other sources, reduction in pollution and waste products, large areas of green spaces, and designed to be people-centric, not car-centric. हमारी जो cities हैं, चंडीगढ़ को आप देख लीजिए, it is car-centric. Everybody is having car. On an average, every house has minimum 2 cars. So it has now, it is far, far away from people-centric city, where people walk, where people use sustainable ways of life. Here it is car-centric city. Another important, so we have to become people-centric, not car-centric. Then food grown in the city should be used. For example, this concept is coming up very fast. Rooftop gardens. We have to increase the greenery in the cities by turning houses into the green buildings, by turning houses into the sustainable buildings. The rooftops of the houses, they are converted into gardens. And then compact development. So all these are the features of a sustainable city development. This is how we can attain the sustainable city development. Now, sustainable city or eco-city, what do we mean by this? A livable place for existing populations without compromising the interests of the future population. Inhabited by people dedicated towards minimizing energy inputs and pollution. Now, in Chandigarh, for example, so many cycle tracks have come up. I think everywhere the roads are connected with the cycle tracks also, so that people use cycle to a maximum extent. And now this is a kind of effort by the government to enhance sustainability in the city, to reduce the use of cars, and to promote the use of non-polluting ways of life, including the cycling. So this aims to eliminate carbon waste. We want to make our cities now zero carbon cities. जितना carbon environment में जाता है, उसको हम how we can reduce that? We can reduce that by reducing the use of transportation. Wherever it is necessary, we have to use transportation. And wherever it is not necessary, we should not unnecessarily use the transport system. Then produce energy entirely through renewable resources. Don't use non-renewable resources where they are not required. Merge city harmoniously with the natural environment. Now, we all are lucky, as you know, that in Chandigarh, when the Chandigarh was being designed, at the time also people thought of growing the trees in the cities, on the roadsides and on the available lands, and also in the buildings, and also roundabouts. They have also been made green. So that kind of approach should be in every city to increase the greenery in a city. A city should be more connected to the natural environment. So that is how we can make a city sustainable and eco-city. Now cities provide sustainable services. Many cities are now providing sustainable. For example, many European cities they are sustainable in nature. Barcelona, for example, is sustainable city. I'll discuss with you how Barcelona has been converted into a sustainable city. So 85% of the global demand of energy is from the cities, and therefore cities, they are also giving maximum emissions. But as per the report of CDP, Carbon Disclosure Project, 57 plus global cities, over 100 now get at least 70% of their electricity from renewable sources, such as hydrocarbon based, uh, hydroelectric projects, geothermal, solar energy, and wind energy. That is what we are very relieved that now trends of cities is going towards using renewable resources. As I have already shown you in a slide also, that most of the now after 2002, more emphasis on the renewable resources of energy. So that is a relief that we are getting. So if these cities are successful, then more and more cities will adopt this kind of ways of life. Now there is another trend which is going on is car-free cities. Reducing the number of cars in a city will reduce air and noise pollution, congestion, and will provide health benefits in the form of increased physical activity due to walking, cycling, and moving to catch public transport. So ये तीन चार चीजें जो हैं, we have to increase more emphasis on that. That is going for walking, cycling, and more use of the public transport so that cities become car free. Now, since large part of carbon footprint in a city is generated by cars, so car free concept is often considered to be integral part of the design of a sustainable city. Now, I ask you one question. As I told you that Chandigarh has good green cover, thanks to the people who designed it and thanks to the thoughtfulness of those people, that they incorporated green cover right in the beginning of its route. So that way we are fortunate. But the way transport is increasing in Chandigarh, the way people are using cars and other means, is it sustainable city? That is a big question. So if we want to make our city a sustainable city, we have to reduce the number of cars also. Unfortunately, in our city, cars number is, if not maximum, it is at second or third rank in the in India at least. So number of cars is really a cause of concern in Chandigarh. That is what our government has to do. Our government has to design ways, promote more public transport. They have to make public transport efficient so that people can use them, because public transport systems are not people friendly. That's why people are not using them much. So we have to make them people friendly so that people use them, and there is less use of cars in the city. So that is one point which I wanted to tell you. Then nowadays another concept has come: sustainable transport or green transport. So it doesn't rely on dwindling natural resources like fossil fuels. Sustainable transport कौन सा होगा? It is not exclusively depending upon the fossil fuels, which are rather finite, and it relies on the renewable resources of energy. That is cycling, biofuels, hydrogen, and then nuclear fuel and solar power. Exclusively in the only one hybrid form में hybrid cars का भी use हो रहा है. अभी आपने बोला electric cars they have also come and they are running between Delhi and Chandigarh. एक ही आई है अभी तो. So maybe in the coming time these practices become more common and the transport also becomes green transport or sustainable transport. Now, Improved public transport and increase in pedestrianization provide relief from massive congestion to reduce emissions. Now look at the city. Massive, people, they are moving there. More and more people are working. So look at this has more green cover. Now look at this city. So there are less number of people, they are working more transport system. Now, if we have to make cities energy efficient, we have to follow green architecture. जो भी अब नई construction हो रही है, that should be based on the green architecture, which is becoming very common these days, which is finding lots of people's attention. Now, a green building or green architecture is a design, construction, or operation that reduces negative impacts and create positive impacts on climate and natural environment. It preserves precious natural resources and improves quality of life. So that is what we mean by a green building. Is that clear, Rajkumar? It's clear to you? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, clear है ma'am.
Hello?
Clear. हाँ जी ma'am, clear.
Okay. So this is all right. Thank you. So this is a green building concept that is coming up very fast, and this is one of the sustainable development goals, right? So to adopt green architecture or green buildings, it has efficient use of energy, water and resources, use of renewable energy is given more preference here. For example, solar energy. This has less pollution and less information. Then it has it follows reuse and recycling concept. It has good indoor environmental quality. It use of non-toxic, ethical and sustainable material is adopted in this concept. Consideration to environment in design, construction and operation, that's given much importance. Quality in design, construction and operation, a design adaptable to changing environment. These are the features of the green architecture. A green roof concept is also connected with this. That make your roofs of your or tops of your houses green. What we also call them as living roofs or green roofs. This is finding a lot of literature in the urban areas, and this has really helped in reducing the use of energy and also making the cities sustainable. A roof of a building is partially and completely covered by vegetation is known as a green roof or living roof. Now it alters the surface energy balance, mitigate urban heat islands. जितनी भी सिटीज होती हैं उनके ऊपर हीट आइलैंड्स बन जाते हैं because of the heat is trapped over the cities because of the pollution. Now those heat islands, they not only warm the city, but they are also very dangerous as people feel like suffocation. So to reduce the heat islands, if our roofs are green, completely or partly, I think this problem can be tackled. So climatic conditions and vegetation type influence the green rooftops. In fact, this has become now a very important topic for research. People are taking up more and more research on green roofs in the urban environments, and they are publishing their papers very rapidly. Another concept is xeriscaping, that is where we conserve water and we do creative landscaping. So originally developed for drought-affected areas, principles of xeriscape can be used widely. Now, as water is limited resource, various urban, residential or commercial areas can benefit from xeriscape. So what we do here, what are the benefits of xeriscaping in saves water? It requires less maintenance. It is pollution-free. No fertilizer, pesticides are required. It improves property value and also it provides habitat for wildlife. So xeriscaping is also becoming very common in cities. Urban gardens are becoming important. People are putting their, pots on the roofs of their houses. So कई लोग तो useful plants use करते हैं, जिनसे for example tomato, they grow other vegetables on their rooftops so that it increases the food security also, and the use of land also becomes important. Many restaurants, business places and groups are exploring this option. So it makes a good use of rooftops. Then there is another concept which has come up, biophilia. Now, biophilia was introduced none other than E.O. Wilson, who is also known as father of biodiversity. Now, biophilia refers to connection of human with nature, since humans are biologically inclined to caring for nature. So people, they care for nature. So biophilia means to increase the connectivity of human beings with nature. So it is also an essential part of green architecture. Then promoting urban forest, and I think we all are aware of Chandigarh city. As I discussed with you, that fortunately in Chandigarh, the tree cover is good, and that is keeping the environment of Chandigarh city safe. Pollution level is less compared to the other cities. Despite of it, that number of cars, transportation is very heavy in the city. Number of cars is increasing. But even then, because of the good tree cover, the pollution level of city has not gone too high. So it's because trees filter air, water, and sunlight, provide shelter to animals, increase aesthetic value, moderate local climate, slow down wind and storm water, and provide shade to pedestrians, homes, and businesses. And they cool urban environment and hence reduce heat island effect. They also reduce unhealthy ozone days. So that is the advantage of trees in the cities. And then we can also make sustainable corridors. And sustainable corridors are similar to that of wildlife corridors. They allow people to pass from one place to another without cars or vehicles. आप कार एक जगह खड़ी करके इनको यूज कर लो corridors को, or you can move around and then you can come back. So these also include biodiversity corridors to allow animals to move from one place to another safely, so that there is no burden on them, so that there is no harm for them. So that is the concept of sustainable corridors. Then zero energy buildings are coming up, building with zero net energy consumption, or where total amount of energy used by the building annually is roughly equal to the amount of renewable energy created by the site. मतलब आप यूज भी कर रहे हो एनर्जी लेकिन क्रिएट भी कर रहे हो, तो उससे एक जीरो एनर्जी बिल्डिंग कंसेप्ट आ रहा है. So then in the cities, another important thing is the sustainable urban drainage system. So in urban areas, natural filtration is limited, resulting in downstream flooding or deterioration of river water quality. Not in Chandigarh, but in many cities, it is a problem. So sustainable drainage system aims to alleviate these problems by storing, reusing surface water at source, by decreasing flow rates to water courses, and by improving water quality. So this is also an essential part of the sustainable cities, and hence, because if we have sustainable drainage system, this will also reduce our dependence on energy. So Sustainable City Sites Initiative, SSI, it is a comprehensive system for developing sustainable land designs, constructions, and maintenance practices. It is used by landscape architects, designers, engineers, developers, policymakers, and they adopt innovative sustainable designs. Now, areas of focus are soil, vegetation, hydrology, materials, human health, and well-being. So this is Sustainable Site Initiative. Then there is another LEED. LEED means Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It is an internationally recognized green building certification system. So you can, if you want to adopt this green architecture, you can get your degrees certified by doing the certain courses by these organizations. So they are of great help to you. Now another term which is coming is new urbanism, an urban design movement which promotes environmentally friendly habits by creating walkable neighborhoods containing a wide range of housing and job types. It's a compact and vibrant system where we have walkability, मतलब walk के लिए spaces बहुत ज़्यादा बनाए जाते हैं. So unfortunately in Chandigarh also, in other cities, the walkable cities, they have become less. So walkable places are becoming less. Connectivities are less. Mixed use and diversity. Then increased density, sustainability, traditional neighborhood structure. जो neighborhood पहले traditionally होती थी उसी तरह adopt कर रहे हैं. Green transportation, mixed housing types, quality architecture or urban designs, and quality of life. So that is a new. Then we have the smart city concept, which India, our government has also adopted and have recognized many, cities which are designated as smart cities, in which Chandigarh is also one. So the smart cities have compact, building design, create range of housing opportunities and choices, create walkable distances, encourage community and stakeholder collaborations. Then they have fostered distinctive, attractive communities with strong sense of place, make development decision predictable, and they have mixed land use system, and they have a variety of transportation choices. Then their daily needs are on foot, planning new energy and climate future. So these are some of the features of a smart growth in a city, or what we call a smart city. So smart city has various components. It uses maximum the information and communication technology to increase the operational efficiency. तो सबसे ज्यादा आईटी का यूज होता है स्मार्ट सिटी में, ताकि जितने भी ऑपरेशनल सिस्टम्स हैं दे आर बीइंग यूज्ड एफिशिएंटली and share information with the public and improve the quality of government services and citizen welfare, provide clean and sustainable environment, and wise management of the natural resources. Now, I talk to you about Barcelona's urban mobility plan, which prioritizes people to over cars and outlining clear steps for improving pedestrian infrastructure. ये बार्सिलोना सिटी का concept है. It is in Europe, in Spain, and here they have given more importance to the people so that they can walk. So इसीलिए उन्होंने mobility areas बढ़ा दिए हैं वहाँ पे और improve किया है pedestrian infrastructure को, so that people who walk they do not face any problem. Likewise, there is another city, Curitiba, which is in Brazil. It is considered as a sustainable city because it is based on sustainable planning. So इसमें क्या किया इन्होंने? Efficient, inexpensive mass transit system, low polluting fuel, interconnected paths, cycle tracks, labor intensive city है ये, garbage purchase system है इसमें. Garbage को परचेज करके लोगों को पैसा देते हैं, तो उससे क्या होता है कि लोग गार्बेज को इधर उधर नहीं फेंकते, बिकॉज दे नो दैट दे विल सेल इट. So this is the concept of a sustainable city, and well-known example is Curitiba in Brazil. So as you see that more and more cities are now coming up which are adopting sustainable ways of life. They are reducing energy consumption and they are making more use of the renewable resources of energy. Now, this is a paper which was published in PNAS, and it is showing that Los Angeles is among many cities pursuing aggressive sustainability plan, one that aims to provide people more recycling methods, more recycling the wastewater, use more renewable resources of energy, and accelerate reductions in carbon emissions. So जो भी रिडक्शन हो सकती है जिनसे भी कार्बन एमिशंस में उसको एक्सेलरेट करती है. So such type of research papers they are coming up in very quality journals. So cities striving for sustainability are struggling to incorporate multiple dimensions and values of sustainable development. Economic development, social growth, livable world, sustainable development, a viable world is environment responsibility. So ये सब मिला के एक sustainable development बनता है और fair world बनता है. जिसमें सोशल प्रोग्रेस भी है, इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट भी है, एनवायरनमेंट की तरफ भी हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, एंड द वर्ल्ड इज लिवेबल स्पेस. It is not that it is no longer livable space because of environment degradation and pollution level. So such papers are nowadays coming up. So that एक नई concept भी आई है such papers में, urban metabolism, which is a model to facilitate the description and analysis of flows of materials and energy within the city. And this is undertaken in a material flow analysis of a city, and it provides researchers with a metaphorical framework to study the interactions of natural and human systems in specific regions. मतलब city में कैसे energy flow करता है उसको नया कंसेप्ट दिया है अर्बन मेटाबॉलिज्म. जैसे हमारी बॉडी में मेटाबॉलिज्म होता है, कुछ चीजें डिस्ट्रक्ट होती हैं, कुछ सिंथेसाइज होती है, इसी तरह से सिटी में भी कुछ सिंथेसिस प्रोसेस होते हैं, कुछ डिस्ट्रक्टिव प्रोसेसेस होते हैं, और उनको मिला के हम कहते हैं अर्बन मेटाबॉलिज्म. So that is you can imagine how important the cities are and how cities can contribute to energy consumption. Now these are the 10 greenest cities in the world and India. So in the world we have Vienna, Munich, Berlin, Madrid, Sao Paulo in Brazil, Manchester, Lisbon, Singapore, Amsterdam, then Washington. And in India we have Mysore, Chandigarh, Bangalore, New Delhi, Dehradun, Bhopal, Diu, Gandhinagar, Jamshedpur and Shimla. So that is. Now, Gitanjali, do we have time or should I wind up? Hello? I'll wind up with this ecological footprint concept. Hello?
Anji, yes, ma'am.
But I just want to discuss ecological footprint.
Okay, no issue, ma'am, no issue. Anji,
okay. So this concept was given by Mathis, Beckringel, and William Rees to help people understand what they take from the environment and how environment that then behaves. So it's a measure of humanity's demand over nature. So it measures the amount of productive land, fresh water, and ocean required on a continuous basis to supply human population with food, water, energy, housing, clothing, transportation, and waste disposal. So this is how we can show the ecological footprint. That is what we demand from the nature and how nature then gives those things that we take from nature gives that back, how those things are recycled. So that whole constitute the ecological footprint of an area. Ecological footprint can be of a person. Ecological footprint can also be calculated for a building. So ecological footprint can be made for an individual, region, country, and whole planet. So इसमें dimensions जो है वो depend करती हैं कि हमने किसका ecological footprint निकालना है. So what is ecological footprint? It is what we demand from the nature. So you can see an ecological footprint that tracks 6 categories: cropland, grazing land, fishing grounds, built-up land, forest area, carbon demand on land. So carbon is dominant component of humans' ecological footprint. It was 43% in 1961, 60% in 2012, and it is the largest footprint component at the global level. Now, some important terms. Ecological footprint is ecological assets required by given population to produce natural resources it consumes and to absorb its waste, particularly the carbon emissions. So it's a kind of resource accounting tool. मतलब आपने कितना रिसोर्स लिया नेचर से और उसमें से कितना नेचर में वापस लिया. So it is a tool which shows us that. Now, इसमें एक टर्म आती है biocapacity, biological capacity, which means the productivity of ecological assets, cropland, grazing land, forest, fishing ground. So इनकी कितनी productivity है? It is expressed as global hectares, which is globally comparable standardized hectares with world average productivity. Now, in simpler terms, it is the ability of ecosystem to produce biological material and to absorb waste generated by human beings. So this is a picture showing ecological footprint. This is biocapacity. This is biocapacity. This is how much we have used out of this biocapacity. So then ecological reserve कितना होगा? जितनी biocapacity है उसमें से हमने कितना use कर लिया और कितना रह गया is ecological reserve. And just imagine आपका एक बैंक में पैसे होते हैं तो आप बैंक में से पैसे निकलवाते हो तो जितने पैसे बच जाते हैं उसको रिजर्व बोलते हैं. So nature में से हमने जितना कुछ ले लिया, nature compare nature with the bank. So how much we have taken and how much reserve is still left. अगर वो रिजर्व भी हमने सारा यूज कर लिया then that means we are going in a deficit. So what is deficit? When we take more than the capacity of nature and वो deficit के form में हो जाता है. So nowadays what we are creating ecological deficit. So that's a very interesting terms which are of great importance. So global hectare जो है वो यूनिट है इकोलॉजिकल फुटप्रिंट का. हर साल हम एक नया दिन मनाते हैं जिसको बोलते हैं इकोलॉजिकल ओवरशूट. मतलब पूरे साल में 350 डेज में 365 डेज में हमने नेचर का कितना रिसोर्स यूज कर लिया और कितनी जल्दी यूज कर लिया उसको बोलते हैं ओवरशूट डे. मतलब अगर 365 साल के रिसोर्सेज 365 दिनों के लिए हमें रिसोर्सेज मिले हैं तो हमने तो फटाफट कंज्यूम कर लिए वो बाकी के बाकी दिन हम फिर डेफिसिट में जाते हैं. सो दैट इज नोन एज इकोलॉजिकल ओवरशूट. तो अगर आप देखें अर्थ का ओवरशूट डेज का आपको बताती हूँ हाउ वी कैलकुलेट अर्थ ओवरशूट डे. Planet's biocapacity divided by humans' ecological footprint multiplied by 365. So in July 29th, in 2019, 29th जुलाई था ओवरशूट डे. मतलब 29th जुलाई को हमने जो रिसोर्सेज हमारे लिए अवेलेबल थे वो हमने यूज कर लिए और उसके बाद हमने 31 दिसंबर तक जो भी यूज किया नेचर का वो डेफिसिट में गया. राइट 2020 में ये 22 अगस्त हो गया. तो 22 अगस्त का मतलब 2020 में थोड़े दिन बढ़ गए. इसका मतलब दैट मींस बिकॉज ऑफ लॉकडाउन देयर वाज लेस प्रेशर ऑन द एनवायरनमेंट. So obviously overshoot day increased in 2020. 21 का शायद आ गया हो, I'm not sure, but I could not find for 21 what was the overshoot day. But for 20 it was 22nd August. That means it was more than 2019. So that means थोड़ा सा हमारा ये जो ecological footprint है वो improve हुआ था, and that we can understand because of less pressure on the environment. Most of the people were stuck up to the homes because of the COVID-19, and environment was kind of clean compared to the earlier years. So this is how you can calculate the ecological footprint in terms of Earth. मतलब हमें कितनी अर्थ चाहिए अगर हम ऐसे लोग हों जो बहुत ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज यूज कर रहे हो, तो वी दैट मींस रिक्वायर मोर नंबर ऑफ अर्थ टू सर्वाइव. दैट इज ए हाइपोथेटिकल विजन ऑफ इकोलॉजिकल फुटप्रिंट. तो जैसे 2019 में था कि हम जिस तरह से हमारे हम रिसोर्सेज को यूज कर रहे हैं, हमें 1.75 अर्थ चाहिए to survive. लेकिन अभी हम सारे का सारा प्रेशर एक ही अर्थ पे डाल रहे हैं. So that means कहीं ना कहीं हमें अपने हैबिट्स को कंट्रोल करना है, हमें अपने कंजम्पशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज को कंट्रोल करना, so that we can rely only on one earth which is actual. हाइपोथेटिकली हमें 1.75 अर्थ चाहिए, लेकिन एक्चुअली तो हमारे पास एक ही है. सो दैट मींस वी आर पुटिंग ए प्रेशर ऑफ 1.7 अर्थ ऑन अ सिंगल अर्थ. दिस इज व्हाट वी मीन बाय इट. So this is how number of earths being used by different countries. That is very interesting. USA में जितना कंजम्पशन हो रहा है रिसोर्सेज का वो 5 earths के बराबर है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 4 point something. South Korea में 3 point something. ऐसे रशिया and all countries are using. Fortunately in India अभी हमारी पूरी अर्थ का नहीं आया है. They are just 0.7. And world is 1.75. अगर हम सारे इनको मिला के एवरेज निकालें तो 1.75, जो मैंने अभी आपको पिछली स्लाइड में दिखाया था. So this is how world people are using resources, people are using energy, putting more pressure on the planet, and what is requirement of the day, what is called for the day is use energy efficiently so that we put less pressure on our nature, on our mother earth, and we can live sustainably on this earth. So that is the message, and with that I finish with my talk. And I once again thank the organizations, Principal Madam, Dr. Gitanjali, Hiroji, and other students, Shaka, all of them for
Thank you,
inviting.
Daisy ma'am, for your enlightening lecture.
My pleasure.
Very good to listen that.
Thank
बहुत
you,
अच्छा था,
thank you.
बहुत enlightening था.
I'm sorry कि कुछ लाइट जाने की वजह से थोड़ी
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं.
So,
ऐसी इंटरेक्शंस हम आगे भी रखेंगे और आगे भी आपको
Thank you.
तंग करते रहेंगे.
It's my pleasure. It's my
बहुत
pleasure.
अच्छा
So
था.
thank you everyone.
Students will be very happy and very enlightened to listen to that.
Thank you.
मैम ये पूरे लेक्चर हम YouTube में रिकॉर्ड करके डालते हैं और बाद में बच्चों को
हाँ.
शेयर करते हैं मैडम.
YouTube पे डालेगा मैम.
All
YouTube
right,
में
all right. Okay,
YouTube में
okay.
आपको भेज देंगे अभी हम.
हाँ, मेरे को copy. हाँ, please share with me the copy.
हाँ जी, yes, we will share it.
Okay, thank you, Ji. Thank
Okay,
you,
ma'am.
everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, very much.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
a lot.
My pleasure. Okay.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.